my point of view here. Like she had agency in this. Like she got to choose, and she did choose to marry him.
I think, it's funny, like my reaction is everyone else's reaction, because I feel like that was the reaction we had when we first saw it, was like, oh no, yeah, like she chose not to be talked out of it. But I think hearing you say that, I definitely see what you're saying. And, and then the scene is that, Rory goes through all the things that she might have suggested instead, and then says, oh yeah, I would have talked you out of it. Like better
because
mom.
Because it sounds like what she means is like, I don't want to be talked out of it because like someone has manipulated me into it. But that is not how I read it. I read it as, I don't want to be talked out of it because this is what I want, and
right.
and that it's not like being talked out of it because it's not something that I want. It's being talked out of it because it might be really impulsive. It might lead to some big mistakes down the line. She understands that like what she did was really dangerous, and that it was, potentially harmful to relationships and all that kind of stuff. But she doesn't want to not do it. And that's the most important part about it, is that she actually wants it. And this idea that people just like want to be married, just like that, she's like, oh, she just wants it because she just wants the idea of marriage. That one's a hard one for me to buy, because
yeah, I don't agree with that either. I think
I mean, really, you gotta have some feelings for, like, otherwise, like, really, like, that's all you want is to just be able to wear a dress and have a ring on your finger. Like, no, I think that there's like countless, I mean, there's so many people that Lorelai would never in a million years get married to just for the idea of marriage. So she chose Chris, and that says something about him. Yeah. I don't think that they're going to be together. I mean, it's clear that they don't work in so many ways, but I don't think that should take away from what the idea that she would want to be married to him, even for this brief amount of time.
Yeah, and something I was thinking about last episode too, not this past episode, but French Twist was, we mentioned that they had always wanted to go to Europe and sleep on a park bench, and
yeah,
I mean, it's sort of this fulfillment of that sort of teenage dream of like, let's have this really romantic European adventure. And I feel like like I could see 16-year-old Chris and Lorelai getting married in Paris. I you know what I mean? Like, I almost feel like there's a connection there between the two of them, that that they always wanted to do something impulsive in Europe together.
Yes,
so it kind of makes sense.
And I buy the idea that she really loves that romance, and she's caught up in the romance of it all. But he's part of that romance. That's the thing, it's like she couldn't possibly be so swept up by the romance if she didn't feel romantic feelings for that other person. Otherwise, it's like, wait, I don't get it. Like, where's the romance? You have to have another person in order for that romance to even feel like anything.
Yeah, and this romance runs pretty deep. Like, it's not.
It does.
It's not new. It's just that it's. We've seen so many different iterations of it over the past 7 seasons, and it's like finally, like we've said, all of the pieces are pretty much in place. And so it makes sense that this would be the moment that they do this, because everything seems like it's finally making sense. And so, yeah, I never really got super upset that they got married, because, like I said a few nights ago, like, Chris is a different Chris. And so he's finally the person that she needed him to be. And, I think it's like, for this very moment, it's working really well.
Yeah, it will not. I mean, that I am convinced of. It will not work in the long run. He's not right for her, but that doesn't necessarily mean that, like, that it can't, like, that we can't be feeling the love tonight. I mean, like, I think that, like, this moment is this moment, and she's enjoying it and he's enjoying it. I don't think they're right for each other for reasons that just run way deeper. It's like, once the honeymoon phase is over, like, will they work? And I think the answer is no. And I more than anything, that's probably the aspect that the fandom really, like, that's the hard part of it, because you want the person to be in love with somebody that can work long term, and you can sense that that's not him. But I would also argue that it is also not Luke right now. It's not, like, they clearly do not work quite well the way that they are now. They could, like, as they mature and develop, they could. But you could also argue the same thing for Chris, that over time Chris could also figure things out and they could end up working.
Well, that's what I really love about this show, is that they're all of these characters aren't ever static. They do change, and they do have character arcs, just like people do. And that's why the show is so rich in for discussion and all of this, because we can actually see a person changing over time, and we can and that's really awesome. And so
and I think that's the heart of it, right? This idea that people aren't static, and that, like, what we're watching is an evolution of these characters becoming new versions of themselves. And that does actually, in a way, go against this idea of, like, meant to be, or soulmates, right? Because that whole concept just assumes that it's always been right, always will be right. And that isn't really what the show is saying. What the show is saying is that these characters aren't right for each other now, but could be at a certain point. And we're seeing how they're transforming and changing and becoming different people, more aware people, and that's starting to work better in certain situations. And that kind of, in my opinion, that sort of shatters the whole idea of soulmate. So this idea that, oh, Luke and Lorelai were meant for each other, like, that doesn't really compute with me, because I've seen different versions of Luke throughout this series, and different versions of Lorelai throughout the series. They're changing, and I know that narratively, it seems that what the writing wants to do is bring those two characters together. But in order to do that, they both have to go on journeys that take them through different versions of themselves.
And I've said this before in our conversations over the course of the series, but something that always struck me about this show as a young woman watching it was the only show for my demographic that wasn't shoving this soulmate theory down my throat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it was absolutely a change up where, if I was watching other shows on the same network at the same time, like, the idea of soulmates was like, that was like what everybody was talking about. And so in your own life, you're like, well, I gotta meet mine too. And why isn't it happening? And I'm not, and you get all these, like, kind of terrible messages about, like, how life is supposed to be. And this show really did, like, throw all that into question, and I really appreciated it as a real person, because I was like, oh, like, maybe actually different people can be right for you at different times, which is why we've talked about Rory's relationships in the same way.
Yeah, and that a relationship that works sometimes needs to be worked on. That, like,
it's not a given.
That what makes them work is that, like, the two people actually worked on it, tried to figure it out, how over time they cared enough to actually become right for each other, and learn what were the right aspects, and that it isn't just about the romantic feelings in the moment, that are what make a relationship actually work long term. All right, we gotta get some folks up here.
Yeah. Well, I would also say for the family relationships too, is that it works.
Yes. Yes.
You can't always just be the perfect mom. Sometimes you mess up.
Which is why now I'm like, I mean, I really am legit, like, getting sad that we're getting to the end of this. But then I'm also, part of me is like, oof, I cannot wait to find out where everybody is in the revival. Like,
I can't wait for you to find out.
where are some of those relationships, like Lorelai and Emily? Like, where's that?
Right.
Okay. we're bringing some folks up. Thanks for letting us jibber jabber for just a second. If you were not on the couch for this last episode, please raise your hand when I open the couch. Couch is open now. 3, 4, 6, 7, 8,
Hello.
9, 10,
Hello.
11, 12, 13,
Hello.
14 folks. We have 14 folks. This is a much bigger it sounds like some folks from the first watch just they didn't have their coffee yet, so we have a much bigger crowd here the second watch. Hello everyone.
On the couch.
Is this really your first time on the couch?
Yay! Wow.
Have you tried to get
Welcome.
on the couch before, Hunter, and you just never got picked?
Yeah, well, I mean, because I would like raise my hand, but you would be like on number 9 before mine would even turn black sometimes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Welcome.
So
Welcome.
So this is better. This whole like flip-flopping, like making sure that people aren't on the couch 2 in a row, I think is way better, because it does seem that there's some sort of bug where like some people are just like they get their hand raised first and I see them first. So this works.
Yay.
All right, everybody, we're gonna pretty much just dive in. If you're new, the most important thing to know is that we watch these episodes in sync with each other by simply starting our play buttons, like pressing our play buttons at the same time. We always skip ahead past the previously on, but there is no previously on. It doesn't seem. I've never seen a big white package with a bow on it, so I don't believe that this is a recap, is it?
It's not.
It is not. All right,
Hey,
so
John,
yeah.
I think you miscounted. It looks like I'm the extra person up here. Do you want me to drop down to the beanbags?
Oh yes, I forgot because of the 14. I always mess up with the thing. Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
No problem.
So yeah, we always start our episodes at the same time. The best way to get your episode prepped is to not be in the Netflix Gilmore Girls menu, but to actually start your episode and then just pause it right there at the 0-second mark. You'll see a package, like a present, with a big white present with a big white bow. That's, you know, that you're paused at the right spot. That's the 0-second mark. Is there anything really super important that I should mention? Everybody on the couch here knows what our, essentially what our format is, and how much or how little we speak during the episode, and all of that good stuff. Everybody's cool with being recorded because we're going to be recording. And if you've been here before, you know what we're doing next. Yes, the timer is still going on the last episode. I will get to that. The timer going doesn't break the app. It truly doesn't. It doesn't weigh down on the app. It just makes me look like just like lazy.
It's just
like
very,
really lazy.
Very funny. Very funny.
Okay, so if you've been here before, you know what we're doing next. If you're new, grab your remote, have your thumb on that play button, but do not press it. Don't press it, because we're gonna be doing that at the same time on the count of 3. Are we ready?
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3. I called this as well. I didn't think that the Gilmores were going to be particularly upset about this, right?
Oh no, they've been wanting this since the beginning. They've wanted this for
I kind of
Rory,
expected
21
just
years.
like a nice. But I do feel like I am surprised that Emily doesn't want to do some
do you
sort of
think?
like a big party.
What do you think the gift is?
A mirror.
Sabrina now has the same photo.
Yeah, that's one of the things we sent her for her wedding. She said it's hanging in her bathroom.
Nice.
Wait a second, where have I seen that before?
We
Have I
got
seen
it-
that as like an
we got it
Amazon?
for Sabrina.
Did you see?
Oh,
for
that's
her
right. You
wedding?
got it for Sabrina. I was like, is
Yeah.
that somebody's avatar? That's right. Sabrina.
Every couple should have Wolf Girl.
Absolutely. The website actually prints mugs too, so
Oh, Emily.
This is a Lorelai move. She would have done the exact same.
Oh,
thing.
They
I was
were
thinking the
just
same.
making
For
fun
sure.
of
Yes, she would have.
Emily's like jail pictures, so this is fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's
So,
the jail
so
picture.
I was officially wrong then. Right?
About what?
well, they're
I'm
happy
wrong.
about the
They
marriage,
were
but
pissed.
Yeah, I think.
they more so at the way they found out.
Right.
Yeah, just like Rory was happy and yet mad.
Yeah, and Emily is all about like proper communication of things. And so that's that was hardly proper.
I'm actually surprised that Emily isn't more angry. Like the fact that she's responding with a joke seems pretty tame to me for that kind of situation. I guess because she's happy about the result, maybe.
Yeah, she's probably just so relieved.
But I'm surprised that she's not proposing that they have like a real wedding. What?
It's so hard to keep our mouths shut when we know
Not-
what's
it's
coming.
not a wedding. It's not a wedding. It's just a party.
I'll take it. I'll
Yeah.
take those kernels.
Oh, no one bet.
The silence though is deafening when you said that.
This is a big town episode if you're noticing the names on the screen.
Is this a knit-a-thon? I only say that because I know that there's been at least one knit-a-thon type event or a knit something event in Remarcus. And I want to say that at the fan festival, there was a knit-a-thon. So the silence tells me that I'm correct.
I mean,
This
if you look
is
at the title,
inspiration. Yeah, this is the inspiration behind what I had sent you about hosting a charity event. This is what
Aha.
I just love how Wolf Girl is perched on that shelf.
We can't have more than 400, so
Burn.
Judging Stars Hollow.
Oh, Paris.
I like Paris's sweater. That's
I hate that she didn't read it. Paris has slipped some stuff.
Me too.
Nobu. This was when Nobu was real big, at least in Los Angeles. It was in LA. That was everybody was talking about Nobu.
I love that it's a 2002 party. It always makes me laugh.
How's 2002 already almost 20 years ago?
I know.
Netathon.
Is it near everything they do is for the bridge? Am I incorrect here?
I'm surprised that thing didn't fall down already.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
That's exactly what Rory said about Jess and not being with Dean. Like, this isn't what they expected.
Oh, you're so right about that.
This is cool. I was sort of waiting for like the big big weird event episode for this season, because I wanted to see, like, you know, how are the writers going to handle that, like, without Amy and Dan.
I love that people
This
know
won't
Luke hates it.
disappoint.
I love that people know Luke hates the stuff. They still go to his place to do these things.
Totally.
I know that they've done this storyline before, but this is a very Liz thing to do.
Yeah, I could see that. They're still framing it as this like awful, crazy thing though, which really bothers me.
I don't know why I got caught up on the fact that he was drinking the water and needed to swallow before he did his.
Too bad we never got a Liz and TJ spinoff.
Oh, I would watch that.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
Something about that scene made me remember being in high school and knitting and like crafting was getting really popular, and they had to make a rule that we couldn't do any of that in class.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah,
How many people were knitting that they had to make a rule that you couldn't do?
I guess a lot of it. I was one of them. I don't really remember.
Oh, when something is popular and all the kids have it, you as a teacher, that's one of the things that you have to be aware of, that they're gonna get it, have it out and be playing with it.
Mhm.
Oh, I totally get it. Yep.
It was so wholesome though.
Why doesn't Lorelai wear white more often? Because she looks amazing.
She does.
Of course it will.
That was a great Babette moment.
Every Bebe moment was great.
True.
I love her so much. I love it.
Oh, Chris, of course it comes in a real wagon. He doesn't know Stars Hollow.
I give Chris a little credit here. I feel like he's
Marty. Marty's. Whoa.
The 2002 paraphernalia is my favorite.
Oh yeah. I
Just
don't like
sat
this
down.
Mario.
He's actually just boyfriend. He's not Marty.
Yeah, this is definitely an invasion of the body snatchers, Marty.
His personality went away when he lost his name.
Oh, Anna wants to talk in private.
Never good when Anna
We think,
Nardini wants to talk in
John.
private.
Uh-oh.
No, it's not.
Oh, is this going to be a regurgitation of Sherry? Oh, no. Oh. Oh.
It bothers me that she says, I want to just let you know.
100%.
Like,
Yes.
she's
Yes.
doing him a favor.
Yep.
Well,
I
I,
was
de-
just thinking the
I
same thing.
definitely lost some kernels to Hannah.
I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Hi.
I still win if he suggests anything like maybe
Any slight
I
hint,
come with
yes.
you, maybe we maybe we try and rekindle something. I'll win it if any suggestion is made whatsoever.
I think you have to make those rules before the bet.
No, I did. I said those.
Well,
during
yeah,
the
yeah. We were
Okay,
teaching
okay.
something.
That's funny.
I don't think we've seen Suki out of the kitchen at all.
She went to the town hall meeting about the couple.
Right.
No, we haven't seen you. You think Jackson did a lot of clout? Jackson has at least a lot. Out of
Yeah.
Ouch,
the
does
cable guys in their podcast keep commenting about that.
Well, I mean, Jackson is a fiendish.
How is Suki has been banned to the kitchen this season.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't gotten much with her. aside from being a sounding board for Laura.
Wasn't Roy watching A Brief History of Time once?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh.
I hate this scene. I don't like this scene. Makes me feel so bad for April.
It's so devastating as a kid too. It's like your whole world is changing, and then at this time, like we didn't have social media or anything.
Yeah.
I want to see Paris.
Oh
hip
gosh,
hop dancing.
please,
Love
please
it.
put in a scene of Doyle and Paris doing like a coordinated hip hop routine for everyone else to watch. In like a circle, everyone's circled around them, and it's just the two of them in the middle. Please make this happen.
Oh, they're practicing back there.
It's just embarrassing.
That does not look like hip hop.
I want to know where Lorelai got all this knitting equipment from all of a sudden, and it's just like, never did she knit, or well, she did sew. Never mind, but she didn't knit ever before.
Mandy, you need that shirt. Knit or go home.
Yes.
And he's really upset, I guess.
Mandate.
She
Chris looks good. I don't know what Lorelai is complaining about.
It's
Yeah.
too good. He looks
I agree.
Yeah.
good.
It's not. He's not just for Stars Hollow.
Yeah, but I mean that's him. But that's who he is.
Yeah,
It's
but
a
She's trying to get him to fit
Exactly.
in.
He's not the guy that rode into town on a motorcycle anymore.
Yeah, he's very GQ.
That's not enough down for.
Polo shirt's better.
Mandate with a farmer. I love that.
I love that too. I actually love that. This whole story, this whole thing. I love this scene.
This is much more relaxed. I agree with this outfit.
Yeah,
I like
this
the
outfit
gray
works.
polo. Yep.
Yeah, I get it.
Jackson got legit, like, threatened. He got legit threatened.
He's looking at him like a dad sizing up his daughter's date.
Totally. Throwing in the metaphors now.
I love that.
I love Jackson being protective of Lorelai.
Same here.
Me too.
Totally. And I also like that Christopher totally got that. I don't know if
Yep.
he'll actually
Yeah.
stick to it, but
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
all right, everyone. It's do or die. It's do or die. She looks very beautiful in this scene.
Seems reasonable.
Ooh, this is not going the way I hoped.
Were you hoping that they'd be making out by the end of the scene so that you wouldn't have to lose Colonel?
I was hoping at least just a suggestion.
Oh,
Oh,
I
well.
don't like Anna.
She gives all Annas a bad name.
Who said that? Anna? Did you say that?
I sure did. Oh, it's the knit-a-thon.
Hey guys, I have to fly. I have something that I need to get done. So if somebody else wants to come up to the couch, that would be great.
I think we're close.
Okay.
Too close to the end of the
Okay.
episode.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
I
I
love
just saw
those
Taylor's
huge
outfit.
balls of yarn. I love this. This is
I love the music. It's so festive.
This is my favorite town event.
That spaghetti does not look appetizing though.
I do want one of those churros though.
It'd be cold. It'd be cold spaghetti too.
Yeah, gross. I want to know who made Taylor's outfit.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's good.
I think I remember Valerie talking about that, that they like made it there, like somebody knit it.
No way, really?
I mean, I'm sure Brenda had something to do with it, if not her.
I can't
It was-
imagine them buying it anywhere. So
That's just a lot of yarn that was used.
George.
Hey.
No one wants Taylor to do his speech.
So are knit-a-thons like about speed? Is it about how much you can knit in a certain amount of time, or is it about the quality?
It depends on how, like, they were doing it per skein. So the more skeins they run through, the more money they'll earn.
I see.
I love that Paris is like a little local celebrity.
Jeez, Marty, come on. Chill out, buddy.
Good on Rory being direct.
you got your wish, John.
Not really. I was imagining something a little different, but close
That
enough.
was
I'll
pretty
take
good. That was pretty good.
it. I was really hoping for hip hop, like in sync, synchronized like hip hop next to each other, both facing in the same direction. You know,
It did look
that
like,
was a little bit that was a little bit closer to the Macarena for me, for my taste.
it did look like it was a little coordinated, like they planned it. If we got more.
Oh, look holding the baby.
His niece.
I wonder if there's more of that dance that they cut out.
Look at Luke.
Oh, it's so sweet.
Mm.
So sad.
We've seen so much of Luke's family. I guess it's obvious, but just his family is growing so much since we first met him.
Would be cool if in the revival, April is back living with him because she's going to some really big university, getting her like doctorate or something like that.
Uh-oh.
In the revival.
And he's married to Anna.
No, not married Anna. That's
I could.
I've given up on that hope, on those.
Oh no.
They all find it a little weird, right?
Yes.
You can't throw money at this situation.
Suki's
doesn't-
trying to be all supportive.
Yeah, throwing money at it here doesn't really work.
And it also takes the fun out of the event.
Once again, he couldn't read the room.
He doesn't understand how Stars Hollow works.
Yeah.
But he had the best intentions. I'm sorry, feel like I'm a Chris apologist.
He really did have the best intentions, but he just doesn't know how to read a room.
He's just
He's a little
trying
unaware.
so hard. He's trying so hard to please everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the knit-a-thon is not about the bridge. The knit-a-thon is about the knit-a-thon.
But you know what? It doesn't seem to be about the knit-a-thon to everybody, because if it was, they'd all be like, no, we don't care about the $10,000. We're knitting.
Yeah, it's a little much how it all completely shuts down, I feel.
Was that an alpaca? What was that just walked by?
Yeah, what was that?
Are they gonna be like shaving the animal and then knitting from that or something?
Well, alpaca fur actually really does make really great yarn.
Oh yeah, yeah. I doubt they would do anything with the actual animal. I don't know.
No, I doubt so either, but it's just funny.
Yeah, if it's
So he's now completely dropped his shtick.
Now, what is it, like 100?
That guy, he did not weigh 98 pounds. First of all, he's taller than me. I did not weigh 98 pounds, and I was way thinner than that guy.
Just making a joke.
Did you hear the comment that he made?
No, what did he say? I'm sorry.
He said you're more beautiful than ever.
Oh.
Yep, awkward.
yeah, I didn't mean to talk over that. It was like in kind of a weird, too sincere way.
Punch buggy.
Really?
My boyfriend and I
sorry.
just had a discussion about this.
Had to do it. Whoa.
So good.
Get it.
Yep.
Whoa.
This is the difference between Luke and Christopher.
Oh my goodness, that was quite awesome.
It's truly
you
one of
starting-
his best scenes.
It's
Are you
so
starting to
good.
understand why the fandom does not like Anna so much?
Well, I mean, I haven't really gotten a chance to. I still want Anna to process that and then respond to it before I'm going to fully judge Anna. I don't know. I mean, I think
Fair
she just got told something, and I think it was very direct and made a lot of sense. And let's see how she reacts. Fair? I think that's fair.
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 So
Everyone's,
like I said.
everyone's like, oh,
Sure.
you wait.
That's the
Diana-
difference between Luke and Christopher, though. Luke is like,
Right.
I'm going to fight you to be in my kid's life. And Christopher is just like, okay.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, clear. Like crystal clear. I get it. Whew. Let's get some folks up onto the couch. That was a good episode.
Yeah, it was.
So
That was
Diana,
The last
to
scene was
your
the best.
point earlier, when you had
Mhm.
said that you love that Paris is a local celebrity, I think thinking about it, although I love Liza, I'm sorry if you can hear my dogs whining in the background, it's the storm. But anyway, as much as I love Liza, I think I'd be more excited to meet Paris Geller,
Oh.
if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I mean, she's definitely a force. Let's open up the couch. Let's bring some other folks up here and we can chat about what we just saw.
My daughter is a Paris Geller, by the way. Like, she adores Paris and is so much like her. It's scary.
I love
Really?
Paris Geller.
Yeah, it's intense.
Such
a
a
lot.
I
John.
think my issue
Oh,
with
man.
Anna, John, isn't how she's going to react to Luke. It's how she tried to shut Luke out the entire time, even after they had the relationship. And I was saying, contrasted with Lorelai, who always would give Chris any chance he wanted with Rory and was hoping Chris would take more time with Rory, versus Anna, who's like, what? You're talking to my daughter and actually
Yeah,
wanting to
but
spend time with her?
But I have been interpreting that as just an extremely protective mother who does not want her kid to be hurt and maybe isn't fully aware of how committed Luke is and the relationship that April is having with him. And that's why I say I would like to reserve judgment until I can get a sense for how she responds. If there is this like clear, I don't care what you have to say, fight me all you want kind of thing, then I'll be on that side. But as of right now, I don't know yet.
Here's the thing though, with Anna, like she has to know because April is an extremely talkative person, whether we see it or not. Like we kind of know because it's been told like April has told me this or April's told me that with like either Anna or Luke. Anna has to know how much of a relationship that April is having with her father. I mean, it's bound to happen that April has said like, I love my father or I love going over there. Like she wouldn't have wanted to spend 2 months in Stars Hollow if she didn't have a relationship. Anna doesn't realize that.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think it's more that Anna doesn't really know. She doesn't really know about Luke yet. I don't think she has a clear understanding of how committed he is, how much he wants this. I'm that's just how I've been interpreting it, is that she's just a very, very, very protective and nervous mother. And the difference between Harvest, everyone. The difference between Lorelai and Anna really showed itself clearest in the scene where Lorelai goes to her shop and tries to confront, or tries to get her to bend on that, and Anna's just like uncompromising. Anna's just has a real firm, I will not, absolutely will not allow my daughter to be hurt in that way.
And the comment that you made with saying Laura, or someone made with saying Lorelai gave Chris every chance she could to see like Rory and stuff like that. He didn't take it that much, obviously, and like Luke is trying to have that same thing where like he's giving Anna her space and letting her do things how she wants, but now that like Luke's clearly in love with his daughter and loves her and loves being around her and doesn't want to see her get pulled out of school and like be all upset, he's now realizing that like this is not, like he said, this is not just your daughter, this is our daughter, and we have to make these decisions together. Like I'm fully on Luke's side, and Anna, like I'm sorry, but she like has to meet people halfway if she wants things to work.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to see. That's what I'm waiting to see, because I think that what she saw was something she has never seen before from Luke. Like he's always been kind of like bip, 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 yep, yep, okay, you know, and like now he was just like no, and let's see. I am curious actually to know how she reacts to that.
John.
So
What's up?
Oh, sorry. I just a quick funny. Oh, go ahead, Mary. Sorry.
I just want to make a point though, to contrast back to Chris and Lorelai. Lorelai knew Chris wasn't serious. Like Laura, like you're saying, Anna doesn't know how serious Luke is. With Lorelai, she already knew Chris wasn't serious, and she was willing to be there for Rory if she got hurt, for the chance that maybe the relationship between her and her father will be stronger. What bothers me with Anna is she doesn't even care whether the relationship between April and Luke will be stronger if she's not willing to.
But you know what?
For that hope.
But you know what? On the flip side of that, Lorelai, in doing so, has opened up her daughter to disappointment with her father. Like because Lorelai has trusted him when he probably shouldn't have been trusted in that way, Rory has been hurt. And so you could say that Anna is actually the more pragmatic and more careful mother of the two of them that has decided, no, I don't trust, and for that reason, and it's because I put my daughter's feelings like at number one, and I don't trust that this person would do it. And if she was dealing with a Christopher, she'd be, you know, she'd be likely sparing her daughter of disappointment.
Fair enough, but kids do grow up resenting a parent if that parent.
Oh yeah,
I'm not
saying that. By the way, I'm not saying that what she's doing is right. I'm just saying that that's what her rationale is. I can't really like.
Well,
I can't like look at her and be like, you're a terrible person, I don't really like you. It's like that's what she's deciding, and you could argue that it comes from a place of I care very deeply about my daughter. You know, of course, there's another side of this, which is that like she's also not. She doesn't seem to be sensitive to the fact that her daughter is really upset about leaving. But you know, there's also that like kids kind of have to go through that kind of pain. It's a difficult situation that she's in, because it's her mother that she has to go take care of, and you know, she has few options. But Diana, if you could help me just keep an eye out on any flashing mics. Hunter, I see you're flashing. Would you like to chime in a little?
Yeah, and Elle was also flashing, but I was wanted to say too, yes, I totally understand where Anna is coming from. You know, I was a single mom for a while, and you do want to protect your kids from, you know, the things their father could do or their other parent could, you know, do to hurt them. But it's also irresponsible in a way, because you're, like Mandy said, they could grow up resenting you from keeping you away from them. But also they just need to have a realistic picture of who their parents are. So if you know, Luke or, you know, Christopher, like they disappoint them, then that's what happens, and they have to know that they can get past that and work past that and survive that, instead of having some kind of picture in their mind of, you know, romanticizing possibly who their father is and not really knowing who they are.
Yeah, I agree with that. like I said, I'm not like, I don't think what she necessarily is doing is right. I just see that it's not coming from a place of like, I just don't see it coming from a place of ick, as as some of us might characterize it
Right.
as.
Are you sure?
It's a totally different situation though. You know, Luke compared to Christopher.
Right.
Christopher knew Rory was there. Luke didn't know that April existed. So we can't even compare how Lorelai is to Anna because it's not the same. And I have mixed feelings about how Anna's reacting as a single mom because my daughter never met her father, but it wasn't because I kept her from him. But it's hard to be sympathetic with her, knowing that it was her choice, to, you know, to not tell him and kind of keep her from him.
Yeah.
So he's finally stepping up, and she's saying no, and that it's hard to be, you know, understanding of that. I mean, yes, be wary, of course, because she doesn't know if Luke's serious, but now it seems like he is. So, you know,
Again,
it would be like,
I want to see her reaction to that before I fully judge. He's made it clear in a way that he has in the series, and he also put that in her face. He let her know that was not cool what you did. You took something from me. I will never get that back. And I really want to know if that lands with her, because it might.
So
You know what
proud
makes
of
it even
Luke in
worse
that
is
moment.
sorry.
Oh, and
go
we
ahead.
wanted to make sure Elle could
Yeah.
speak.
Oh, that's right.
Elle.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just kind of going along with that is that Anna hasn't taken the time to get to know Luke now at all. She's still comparing Luke to the Luke that she knew when she was in a relationship with him, which obviously didn't work out. And she's not giving him the opportunity to show her his growth. And I think that's part of the problem, is like she's completely like against admitting that Luke might have changed at all. And we've seen how much he has grown, even just like our times viewing Luke throughout the series. But then what we know of him and what he would have gone through, like even just with like Lorelai and Rory, we know how much he was involved with Rory's life.
And he
Totally.
proved it in
Yeah,
the conversation.
exactly.
He just
And
said,
you know,
like, I know about the kids. I know about where she is tonight. I know like what's going on with her. You know, he's proving it in the moment.
yeah. And you know what would solve that? Hannah, what would solve that? A date.
No.
Ew.
Sorry, I'm
No.
cleaning
Ship
up
has
my
sailed.
kids' toys right now.
Because this
I'm
whole
just-
context, it just sets the mood so nicely for romantic dinner.
I know.
John-
I'm ready to send you those kernels, Hannah.
Well,
I'm
wait, I'm
feeling
gonna
pretty-
give you a little extra of a fair chance here and wait till the end of the season, because part of me is like, I feel like I am
All
gonna
right, well,
lose, and I'll
let's-
give you a little longer.
let's not do it. But I mean, I think that's a fair point, Elle, and I sort of feel the same. I would probably fault her the most in this whole situation, that she really hasn't taken a good look at who he is now.
And that's part of being a good mom too. It's like if
Yeah.
you really
Yep.
care about your kids, sit down with the guy and get to know him.
Totally.
I 100%
Totally.
agree with you, Elle. 100%.
Let's go.
Lily, then
let-
Tasha.
Yeah, let's go Lily. Then I thought Emma was in there as well.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
say Lily, Emma, Tasha.
Okay, so off of what Elle said, kind of correlates to something I was gonna say was like, yeah, she hasn't got to know Luke and how he is now, and also like last season, it was probably last season, but she was like, you need to step up if you want to have a relationship with her. You need to step up. You need to get to know her. You need to do this. You need to act like a father, like if you want to be in her life. And then as soon as he does that, she's going, no, you're not her father. You're not acting like a father. You can't make any decisions because now I'm going to be like the head honcho of this. You need to shut up. It's like, you just told him to be her dad, and now you're mad that he wants to be her dad. It's like, no,
Good point.
it's not cool
Yeah.
at all.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's that whole control thing.
Emma wasn't.
Emma.
Yeah.
Emma.
I just wanted to say I 100% agree with Elle and Lily both on both of their points, and I just wanted to say how proud I was of Luke for standing up for his rights and his relationship with April to Anna. Like I was so, every time I watch that scene, I'm like yelling at the TV because I'm so proud of Luke for finally like doing what was right for him and really fighting for his relationship with April and telling Anna what he really felt like. I was like, yes, thank you. I was like, go Luke. I was so happy.
Can I ask a quick question just for any folks versed in legal matters? What are his rights? Like somebody who has not been in the life of their daughter, biological daughter.
Rachel's in the crowd.
Through
You can bring her up.
13 years, then finds out. Like, does he like how true is that he's like, I have rights and I will fight you? Can he? How realistic is that?
Yeah,
he
has rights. I'm
Every
not sure
parent does.
exactly which rights, but as a biological parent, even if his name isn't on the birth certificate, he has that DNA proof to show that he is indeed the father, and therefore he could fight for any kind of custody, whether it's full, part-time, etc.
Lee, were you
But
gonna
would
say
it-
something?
I was gonna say I can speak a little to it here because I've known people who've gone through the exact process, fathers who've been trying to get more access. But I can't speak to the US obviously, but here it's a case of you do technically have rights and you can ask for them, but the courts tend to side with the mother because the mother is still traditionally seen as the more important role model, the one who is going to be more bonded to the child, and they will argue that that is more important.
It's
so
the same here in the US.
yeah, it's like
because
you do have rights.
It's
but
usually
yeah, they
thought of
side
as
with
the
the mother.
mother is the one who raises the child while the father goes to work. It's those original
Gender
those
roles, yeah.
old-fashioned parental roles that moms usually winds up getting custody. But if they're able to prove that the father is just as safe, if not better, the father has is more than able to get his custodial rights enforced.
Hey Tasha,
Hunter has some insight for us.
Tasha, I just want to linger on this for just a second. I will not
Okay.
forget you. I know that you're next. Hunter, did you want to add to that? I know that you may have some insight in.
Yeah, like I mean, especially now in 2021, rights like mothers are considered, the caregiver, whatever. But we've evolved a lot in that area, and even when this was filmed, like we were beginning to really see more fathers, getting custody of children. And we have to remember, Anna didn't even tell him the first 13 years that he was a father. So once he proves he is a biological father, that's a point against her because she didn't let him know. And we even have grandparents' rights now. So he would definitely be within, he would definitely have a fighting chance here because she's grown up in this area. She has a stable school system that he could keep her in, and moving her across country would not be good for her, mental state if she's stable here.
Okay, cool. That's all I wanted to know. I was just curious about that because as he was saying it, I was like, Tasha, you wanted to chat about some of this?
Yeah, sorry, I am making brunch for myself. So I had to step away from the pan for a second because it's loud. So with how like Anna's being, I know I said she's a bitch, well she is, but that's not my point. My point is that coming from a broken family herself and coming from a person who has moved more times than she's been alive, I kind of so sympathize with April because pulling a kid out of not only school, but the middle of the school year, thankfully my mother had the decency of pulling me out in the summer, but still it's like, I so sympathize with April at this point. It's like making new friends, like no matter how weird you are or things like that, making friends is still possible. So she has that going for her. But like going to a new town, especially across the country where you know no one but like your family, and trying to get situated, especially in the middle of the school year where people already have like established friendships and things like that. It's extremely hard. So like the fact that Anna doesn't really understand that means that she kind of doesn't understand her own daughter. And that goes back to what we've said about Chris, how Chris doesn't understand his own daughter. I mean, granted, Anna's been there her whole life, so she has that going for her. But at the same time, it's like Anna says, like, you can't make these decisions. She's my kid, blah, blah, blah. She let April stay with Luke for 2 months, not 2 weeks, 2 months. So like the fact that she's saying this now is like slightly being a hypocrite, because if she was feeling that way, why would she send April to Luke's for 2 months with her being 2,000 miles away? Like she's contradicting herself, in my opinion.
Because her mom was sick and she didn't have another babysitter.
True, but still.
Yeah, it's put that level of trust in Luke. So she had no doubt that Luke was a capable caregiver, you know?
Yeah. Steph, you wanted to say something?
I was just gonna say it's a really impossible situation for Anna when it comes to an ill parent. I mean, yeah, it's just impossible.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
sort of
think
how I
she's
feel
doing
about
this to spite Luke. I think she truly has to be close to her parent, or so. But yeah, it's April in the middle.
Yeah, I
I think it's a bit of both, though, to be fair, because she really is getting at Luke, even though he's like, because if it was truly like, I really just need to get to my mother and make sure my daughter's also taken care of, I feel like she wouldn't have as big of a fit about Luke offering to take care of her even for part of like the year, because then it'd be like, oh, that's so awesome, I have time to spend with my mom and I know my daughter's safe. Like she's full on saying, no, you can't be a part of her life anymore because this is where I'm going to go and you're gonna have to deal with it. So I think she is like trying to spite Luke still, because I think it would be very different. It's just like exactly, my mom and my daughter are very important, honestly.
I don't see it like that. I don't either. I don't see any spite there. I really just don't. I don't think that Anna is thinking it through well, and I think that she's way overprotective.
She's reacting instead of thinking.
And she hasn't made good decisions in regards to like getting to know Luke and whatnot. But I don't think she's trying to spite him. I think she really is in a really difficult position there with her own mother. I don't think she'd leave if she didn't have to.
Yeah, I personally think it's something worse than spite. I think it's indifference. She doesn't care about Luke. She doesn't think he's an important part in her daughter's life. And I can't remember who said it, but someone pointed out how much April will talk about Luke to Anna. She knows the attachment. It was you, Tasha. Yeah, she knows the connection she has with Luke. She knows how much she already loves Luke. So it's not ignorance, it's indifference. She is choosing to be indifferent to Luke and what he brings to her daughter's life. The fact that she just isn't factoring that in shows indifference to me rather than spite, which I think is worse in this situation.
Anna's also used to doing things herself though, and Luke hasn't been involved in her or April's life for that long for her to have like actually stopped to think about it in this scenario.
Well, remember, she never actually consented to any of this, and I think that's a point against her. But she never introduced Luke to April. It was all April's doing. It was all, April reaching out and doing this and that. Like I can see her, like, I really get what you're saying, Lee, because it's a lot of indifference to Luke. She never actually introduced him. She never really, I don't think that she was really sorry for the choices that she made.
But I mean, that's hard for us to swallow because we all know Luke and we're all like, oh, we love Luke. How could she do that to Luke? But like, she hasn't been watching she hasn't been watching 6 seasons of Gilmore Girls with us. Her world was going on without a Luke in it. So it's like the fact that Luke wouldn't be much on her mind is kind of makes sense. I mean, it sucks that she didn't tell the father of her child way back in the day. But to Elle's point, that's the life she's been living. She hasn't been thinking about it. That's how far in 13 years they've gone. And so to sort of to have to sort of relearn all of that is kind of a big ask.
But I don't think she has the right to do that unless he is abusive or there's an indication that he will like be an actively bad parent. I don't think she ever had the right to do that.
To do what?
And I don't think that, to not include him, to exclude
Oh
him.
yeah, no, I think the fact that she didn't tell him at the beginning was the big mistake, but you get 13 years in to that mistake and your life is the way it is. And, I don't blame her for not like being like super like caring about what Luke wants, at this stage, because that's just not where her mind is.
She just doesn't care that she did something that was deeply wrong.
Right. She doesn't, but I'm saying like 13 years in it, like at this point, it's like, it's like, she's probably got so many other things that she's thinking about, and she's thinking about her mom and all that. And so the indifference part of it is like I said, I think that it bites more if you know Luke and if you care about Luke, but she doesn't, because he's just not been a part of her life enough. And like if her daughter loves him as much as it seems that she does and is talking, I think that the worst part about this whole situation now is this idea that she isn't aware that her daughter has a relationship with this person, and that she isn't thinking, you know what? Hold on a second. Maybe I need to get to know this person that my daughter seems to care a lot about. Like that I also sort of think is a big miss on Anna's part. But I don't really see it as spite. And the indifference thing, yeah, I do think that it is indifference, but I also sort of feel like, she's probably got so many other things that she is focused on, that focusing on this person that she has no relationship to at all.
Can I just very quickly bounce off of something very quickly? I know there's a few people flashing. I just find it very interesting that Anna's whole thing is being concerned that April's going to be hurt by the people in her life. So she limits who's in her life, but she is going to actively hurt her daughter by not letting someone be in her life.
Right. And also taking her across country.
Yep, exactly.
Like taking her, like pulling her out of the, the world that she's in. And I mean, I'm sure that I'm guessing that when she got the news, April was like, I don't want to go, and Anna had to deal with that. So Anna is uncompromising, it seems, in a way that is a bit frustrating. I totally get that. Who was flashing?
Mandy.
I got it. We have Mary, I think, was flashing, then Mandy, then Hunter, and then Tiff.
I don't need to speak anymore. Lee already said what I was doing.
High five.
Okay, good.
So Mary.
Mary.
Same. My point's been made. Thank you.
Great.
Hunter.
Oh no, I just had like a one-off thought of like April never in all this time asked who her dad was. Like, I know she probably actively didn't want to discuss it, but in all this time, the kid never asked who it was, and she just kind of glazed over.
Wendy, was that something?
No, I just had like this thought of like, at no point did she ever ask, and what was Anna's response to that?
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm actually curious for any single mothers whose daughters didn't know their fathers, like whether that was something that the daughter or son did at any point. I don't know.
I'm glad you asked, John.
Okay. no, because to answer that, to really understand that question, Hunter, I just need to get into the mind of a kid who might have been there. That's the only reason why I asked one.
Yeah, I decided it was something for her to ask me. And I think the hardest thing, it was a different situation where her father knew that she was in existence but wanted nothing to do with her. But still, the child can have a curiosity regardless of that, because my whole goal was not to get her to be bitter towards him. So I did not slam him. I didn't speak about him because I had a lot of hurt about it and I didn't want to put that on her. So I waited for her to come to me and ask me the story, and when she was ready for it. And we lived just the two of us for so long that for her, that was enough. and that was the norm. And maybe this is an odd situation, but she never came and really asked me about it, because her assumption was if he's not stepping up and coming into my life, then he's not a very good person, because he knew where we were. And she didn't look him up. She didn't look him up until she was way out of high school. So as far as the resentment thing, it's a totally different situation. Like I said, he knew where she was. He could have very easily stepped up. That's why I'm so critical of Christopher. So, but this is totally different in a way. I mean, maybe that was the thing. April, my daughter's smart, so it's not like she wouldn't have been like an April about things, but she just figured, there's some reason, there's a reason. And when they are ready to find out the reason, which April obviously, got her science project hat on. So that's my story. Not quite the same.
Yeah, but I mean, I think there's enough there for me to sort of, in terms of whether or not April should have or would have been curious. I think that it makes sense that you have a dynamic since you were born with this one person, that it might actually be a little scary, at least when you're young, to sort of venture outside of that dynamic. And so
I was judged for it from other mothers that, why didn't you bring him into your life? Well, there were times, I talked to him when she was just a baby, and he pretty much was not super enthused and really wasn't interested. And my thought was, there is no point in pursuing a person who has no interest. And I did not want to put her in that situation, and I didn't need the money. So it was kind of like, you know what, when you're ready to voluntarily step up, you know where we are. So that's kind of where I left it. But like I said, it's a little different because Luke didn't know he had a child. So
I just in April's case, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna jump in. In
Sure.
April's case, she clearly had conversations with Anna because she knew of the 3 people who could be her father.
And
That's
April told Luke that he was her dad, not Anna. It was literally April. Whether Anna knew about it, technically, April told Luke, "You're my dad," never Anna. So.
Zach just jumped up here and he might have something to say about it. And then I think Tiffany, you had been fine.
Yeah.
So Zach, then
Zach?
Tiffany, is that cool?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. So as a son who never knew his father, and I had several attempted incarnations throughout my mother's dating history, various stepdads, boyfriends, stuff like that. It was quite interesting, and I kind of had the April perspective. There was at one point when I knew I was going to be father, and also when I was having issues in high school, that I knew nothing about an entire side of my family medical history, because as far as I can remember, my dad never made an attempt. Whereas Luke, he didn't know, but my father knew. So I think that's a big difference right there. So I respect April's position on it, and I think Luke does have rights, and you can't fault Luke for not knowing. So that's my limited perspective on it, without going into like a bunch of other miscellaneous personal stuff that no one wants to hear.
Tiffany?
Okay, I just had a few things. One is that it was hard for me when I had to change schools. Like, I grew up with my friends from like preschool all the way up until sophomore year of high school, and my mom remarried and I had to move. And it was difficult to, like make friends, and because it's such a weird dynamic, to where you had these same people for like your whole life. And then high school is hard anyway. And then you have to come in and right towards the end of it, where they've already established all these relationships and things. So that was really difficult. And so I could see her point, where she is a teenager, it's a lot harder to assimilate into like these friend groups. Like if you're in elementary school, it's a little bit easier. And I think that one of your questions was about the laws and things, and would he have rights, and I know, like in a lot of states, there are certain ages where the kids start to make their own decisions who they want to be with. I think like some are 12 13. So April would have had more say in real life of where she would go.
Oh,
So it wouldn't.
interesting.
Yeah, so it would. So if they had put that in the show, like she could have actually gone and said, "Hey, I want to stay," and she would have had a little bit more. Like they get guardian ad litem, so they get like their own attorney appointed to them, so they would be able to say, "This is what I want," and then the guardian ad litem could say, "I recommend this because she's already established here. She's been with her father for 2 months already." Like, so it would have been a different, obviously different storyline if it was real life.
Wait a second, not 2 months. They've been together for longer than 2 months, right?
Well, I mean, like stayed alone with him for 2 months. Like she had
Okay.
gone. So,
Oh, right.
so yeah, so like she's already like stayed an extended time, not just visitations, with him. So, and I think where April obviously wanted to know, like even though she said it was for a science project, she was very interested in knowing about his life. And so I think Anna should have kind of let her lead that part. And she obviously wanted to know him. But something I wanted to know, like from everybody else, is when you guys were talking, I was trying to think what would happen if it was like Lorelai and Chris. Like I know their circumstances at the beginning are different, but what if there was a situation where Lorelai and Chris where Rory and Chris had started to kind of get to know each other more, and he was around more, and Lorelai had something that she had to leave. Would she leave Rory at that age with Chris? I can't decide in my own mind, so I didn't know if anybody else wanted to chime in.
I think she would, but she would be making jokes about how bad he would be about it.
I think she'd rather leave her with Suki than Chris.
What was the question?
Would Lorelai leave Rory with Chris when she was 13?
I mean, probably not, considering like when in season 1, when Chris first showed up and he couldn't even buy a book without getting his credit card declined, granted, and like he didn't have a stable job, like his company wasn't working or whatever she hinted at, and like she still thought of him as like 16, and I mean rightfully so. It was only like, if that were the case, it would only been like not that long after she was born. And it's like, I don't know, like I think Lorelai would have been smart enough to be like, hey, look, I get it, but I don't feel comfortable with my daughter with you considering everything. Now Luke is a different story. Luke has his shit together and he has a business and he has references up the wazoo on how to take care of kids, because he did that with Rory. And so like, I don't know.
But again, according to us, that just Anna needs to get to know all of that stuff before she can be as confident in Luke as somebody she could leave her daughter with, as we all are.
True.
Yeah, we don't really know what he was like back then. And I think that was sort of the point that Elle was making, more part of it.
He has proof on the go how easy with her and how she take care of her and how he involves he is with her from day one, from the day he found out and he decided, yeah, I'm gonna be involved. I'm gonna be here for my daughter. So Anna should see that, she should see, yeah, she should see that. I don't like Anna, by the way.
Yeah, it's clear.
No, but because of that, she didn't tell him, and maybe she has his reasons, but now she has proven how you prove things on the go. I believe that you always prove things on the go. You don't say, no, I'm gonna do this. No, do it, and you prove it to me on the go. When one of my students said, oh, I'm gonna be good today, okay, prove to me that you're gonna be good. Don't tell me as soon as you come to the door of the room, prove me. Because most likely.
But how long has he really gotten a chance to prove that to her? Is it also a matter of time? I mean, like, if we base it off of like, the Christopher proving things to Lorelai, we've seen that that Christopher can kind of look pretty great for very short bursts of time,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
He
And
has
so,
proved that
but
that
how
he-
long has Luke really had a chance to do that? She's been living with him for, it seems now, 2 months, and before that, like, I don't know, maybe Anna is not feeling like she has enough information.
Yeah, that too. But Chris proof at least from the beginning of the show was that he always was disappointing his daughter. That he always was telling her, okay, we're gonna do this, and he was always disappointing her in every way.
Yeah, like when he said, "Oh, I'll 100% be there," and they're like, "Oh, so there's like a 40% chance he'll actually show up."
Yeah, yeah. From the beginning, we have seen that Chris approved, even though we hadn't seen everything, but that he always was disappointing her, and Lorelai always protecting her from that.
We have Carol.
Hi, I just wanted to poke in. I had a funny thought. Imagine if how the storyline would be if April had surfaced when he was married to Nicole.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, geez. that would have been a lot of conflict.
Then Anna
That
would
might
have
have been a
had
little-
more reason to not, because obviously we now know that Nicole wasn't a stable person, and she really wouldn't have liked Nicole.
Well, Nicole was a lawyer, so she probably wouldn't have gotten very far. I think Anna would have been up against a little bit, because I'm sure she would have been like, "Oh no, here we're gonna bury you in paper."
True.
Marty at the party.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Let's
Mandy
shift
has some
focus.
thoughts first.
Yeah, Mandy
on-
maybe has one last thought, and then we could shift.
Well,
Yeah.
no, I was actually going to suggest changing the subject, but I kind of wanted to change it to the first episode. So I'll let y'all discuss Marty, and then maybe we could discuss the first episode where they get married, or tell Rory that they're married.
Well, I
yeah.
just wanted to say one thing. Like, I know we all know what happens with Anna, but I mean, she's at a crossroads. How is she going to react to Luke's speech? I think it's very interesting just to keep that in mind.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's all I'm thinking. I'm just like, I want to know what's going to happen next. Like, I need to get a sense for how she's going to react. If she's super cold about it, I'm just like, I don't care. I really don't care. Then I'm going to have a real problem with Anna. But as of right now, I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt that she's going to hear it, consider it, and potentially make some compromise. Maybe that compromise is we share some degree of custody, which I think it would be fair. You know, that there's something that she bends in some way.
May I be the first to say, I know we repeated the line for you, John, but I really think you should go back and watch that moment between Marty and Rory, because it's a zinger of a moment.
Okay, I'll watch that. But I kind of heard it, but it was more like a, you know, like,
yeah.
Because, but then when you said it, like, I was able to sort of piece together the sound of what I had heard with that, and then I kind of have a memory of having heard it. But I will definitely go and watch it again. Let's talk about Marty, and then we'll go back and we'll go back and we'll talk about the moment when Rory learns that they're married, and the escargot, which the writers just didn't remember, a very big old comic bit. Marty, here, the thing with Marty was just I found it so odd that he went from being super like, I don't want to talk to you, I'm kind of uncomfortable and a little mad at you, to just suddenly plopping down on the couch and just being super comfortable.
I think from my reading of the scene, it was obviously he was being a jerk. He admitted himself, Rory called him on it. But the way it unfolds, that the second he starts being nice to her again, he just kind of, he slips. He's like, oh my God, look at you, you're beautiful. So I think he was using it as a defense mechanism. Like if
Right.
if I even acknowledge you as a
Exactly,
person,
right. So
I'm
that
gonna,
it wasn't that he was being mean to her. He was putting up his own wall of defense against the possibility that he could crack and like say something super inappropriate and
yeah, he's
embarrassing.
still
'Cause he
so
did.
hung up on her.
He did crack. He did it.
The second he was nice to her
Yeah.
again, he was like, "Oh, we're right back where we were 2 years ago, and I'm still in love with you."
Yeah, but he was never like that back then. I mean, he was always very mopey, and but he never really crossed that line. What's happened in these 2 years that he's so afraid of crossing that line, and then does so like within seconds of them,
I mean,
because he never
he's
really
got a
did
new
that. He was
girlfriend.
always actually pretty good about like just being kind of like, this is how I
Yeah.
feel. If you don't see it, then you're clearly
We have
blind.
to remember he was drunk also. Like he had mentioned how much he had drank. So he was a little drunk. So I think that sort of also helped him forget his inhibitions. if you will.
Yes, but if we're saying that that this behavior of his, this very odd behavior over the past couple episodes, is sort of has something to do with him being afraid of himself.
Oh yeah.
Like there's something about the fact that he was never necessarily afraid in the past that he would say something or do something, and now if
But he
that's the
didn't
reason
have
why
a girlfriend in the past.
yeah,
He
maybe
didn't have a girlfriend, and now he does. So.
maybe. Samantha, you want to add to?
Yeah, I mean, if this was his strategy to build a wall, I think it was a bad strategy, because if he said it all to Lucy, and that was a better strategy, because once that all the things are out there, you have a responsibility towards your girlfriend, and so maybe then he would protect himself more from his attraction to Rory, I think.
Something else interesting about that scene
Yeah.
after he's like, "Oh, you're as beautiful as ever," and Rory's kind of like, and like she says like I should go, or I should something, I don't remember exactly what she said, but and then he gets up at like really awkwardly and he starts like aggressively making out with his girlfriend like right in front of her. Maybe not the whole right in front of her thing was that just she was there, but like he sort of was like, okay, I have a girlfriend, so don't take that like that or whatever. It's like he's just like acting
Yeah, it was
weird.
extra.
And I
It was
love
extra,
Marty. You know,
extra
me and you were on Team Marty, and he's acting like a freak. And I don't like him right now. It's annoying.
Well, to Marty's defense, it's like, think about this. If you were in Marty's shoes, you are dating this girl. She's amazing. You love her, however Marty feels about Lucy. And then you hear her talking about like, oh, this great girl that I met. She's like, she seems really cool. She's this, that, and the other. And then they meet, and it turns out it's the girl that you were pining after for half of your college life. Then it's like, well, how do I do this? Because like I didn't know it was Rory. How do I tell my girlfriend? She might be a little insecure. Who knows? It's like, so I get it. Like I get why Marty was a little hesitant and being weird. But at the same time, I feel like, I mean, we know what happens, but like him not telling Lucy like right after the fact, be like, hey, like, you know, that girl that you were talking about, like, I've known her for the last 3 years. Like, I don't know like how bad of a situation that could have been if Marty like could just tell her. I don't know, but I'm not going to say anymore because I might spoil.
Lee.
Hello. Lee.
Hello.
Sorry, that
and
was so funny.
welcome to Movie Phone. Anybody remember that?
Yes.
Oh,
Absolutely. Of course.
All right, Lee. Thoughts on this?
I was just going to jump in, especially the way Tasha laid it out there. I think it's really interesting to think of. So he pined after Rory for quite a while and is obviously still not over it. He may have told Lucy, you know, oh, like, you know how you tell anecdotes about your life. You tell your partner, oh, there was a girl that I was kind of in love with, and then she fell in love with someone else. And then as soon as Rory walks in, he's like, oh, they're friends, and I never told her the name of the girl. You know what I mean? Like that panic of, I don't think he did the right thing. I don't agree with what he did, but I can understand that if you told your current girlfriend, there was this girl I was in love with and it didn't work out and it kind of devastated me, and then she walks in as your girlfriend's friend, what do you do in that situation? Because that's not going to be a fun thing to say to your girlfriend. Oh, that's the girl I was in love with for 2 years.
Right. Yes. That I completely buy. Also, I do think that like the time that has passed might have caused the like intense feelings that come with unrequited love to like get more like Rory may be in his maybe in his mind even more these days than she was back in the episodes where they passed. Like not like thinking about her constantly, but that like the feelings for her when he does think about her have gotten even greater in these years. And so just because of that kind of, you know, the fact that she didn't love him back the way that he did, and just that unrequited love thing just can really start to spiral. So that when he then sees her, and exactly, he's put her on this pedestal in his own mind over these years, like not even seeing her. He's only seeing her in his imagination, and so she's just this incredible thing. And she has changed, you know, she has matured. She does look more like a woman than she did when he met her. And so, yeah, he sees her for the first time and is just probably like his heart just basically went down into his foot.
Yep. He's like, oh, damn. Rory looks good, because Rory does look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a way to deliver bad news for everything.
I'm not as big on the bangs as everyone else is, but yeah.
I love bangs. But there's a way to deliver bad news for anything. I'm a firm believer in this. Like, she walks in and he's like, oh damn, but like just make like, oh damn, that's her. That's the girl. Isn't that funny? And then you just move on. You know, it doesn't have to be like a
much
big deal
easier said than done.
Yeah,
Much,
in a split-second decision.
I mean, love
love
is a crazy thing that makes you
I'm a better actor in
sometimes
those things.
butter. Yeah, I mean, it can make you butter, you know.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I missed a tiny part of the conversation, so I apologize if this has already been said. But it seems to me that it'd be really likely that Lucy would mention her new friend Rory to Marty, and that's not a super common name, you know. So it kind of, I like Marty, but I don't like all this stuff. But yeah, it just seems to me that he would have known in that moment when he sees her for the first time after all these years, like he would have known that was coming.
Maybe he did.
Think, you know,
maybe he did.
Lucy,
maybe
it makes me more frustrated. It makes me feel like he's been, you know, being dishonest with his girlfriend for longer than we've actually seen on screen.
Yes, and if that's the case, also additionally, it would also suggest that he was prepared for the first moment that he would see Rory. And then that moment there when he is deliberately cold to her may have actually been prepared to some degree.
I think that Lucy would call Rory like new friend to Marty.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
calls
that's
Marty
true.
boyfriend.
That's
To
true.
his face, she calls him boyfriend.
She doesn't give people names, it seems, right?
Boyfriend, this is my new friend. Boyfriend, meet new friend. Here. It's like, yeah, I don't think he would ever.
Boyfriend, old friend and I just met new friend.
Exactly. Hey, in
Lucy's defense, I've done that too. But
You
she
just
was
called
calling
people old friend and new friend.
Well, no,
Hey,
but like
this is old
boyfriends
friend.
that I've called them gorgeous. I've said boyfriend. Like, I rarely call the guys that I'm dating by their actual name.
Old sport, like you're The Great Gatsby.
Oh God, not that.
The old chap.
I don't know, John. Have you ever been in Marty's situation?
I have, yeah.
So you kind of
How'd you
sympathize.
handle it?
Yeah, I have. I have. I don't want to go too deep into it, but yeah, there was somebody who there was some unrequited love. There was some non-reciprocated love that was really painful for me, and then years later, I ran into the person. It was super awkward in a very similar way.
We've all been there.
I didn't pretend that I didn't know them, but like, yeah, I couldn't really be in the same room, and that kind of thing. So I get it.
We've all
I
been
get
there, though, right?
Yeah, I totally empathize with the feelings, that Marty's experiencing. Like, I do find it very relatable. It's just then how messy he is about it is, and how
Oh, yeah, he's a
dishonest
mess.
is so frustrating.
How do
Yeah,
you
I
jump
mean, and
to?
this
Oh, I don't
idea
know
that
them.
the idea that he may have actually known is really interesting to me. Yeah, I guess it's true that Lucy doesn't really she doesn't call people by their real names, so maybe that is the case. But I kind of, the idea that she would have said Rory at one point does make some sense, and then the thought that he might have known that and know I might run into her, that would also, to be honest, make that moment make even more sense, because he's probably feeling so, like, his feelings for Rory are probably so intense that if he wasn't prepared, I don't know if he would have ignored her. He would have ignored her. I think it would have been even more awkward for him. He would have been probably speechless and fumbling, and it would have probably looked way worse for him.
Yeah, I
to
kind of
Lucy.
agree with
Lucy
that,
would,
actually.
right? And so the idea that he had some time to prepare and be ready for when it would happen, actually sort of tracks with me a little bit better. And that he would do it specifically not to be mean, but that he would do it as strictly as a defense, as a means of defense, and a way for him to be able to cope and handle the situation.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and Lucy doesn't use name, but the roommate definitely does. So he heard the name before.
Right.
Oh yeah, Olivia.
Do we want to talk about Rory's reaction?
Let's do it.
If
Let's do it.
if we talked about Marty.
Yeah, and I don't have too much longer. I'd say about 10 minutes. So let's pivot over to Rory learns that her mother and father have gotten married without her. It's very interesting that she doesn't seem to. Well, no, it's not that she doesn't seem to care. She actually goes out of her way to try to look somewhat happy, or to try to hide her anger when Chris is in the room. Like, she doesn't want it to look bad for him, but that as soon as he leaves the room, then she just completely unloads on her mom. I'm wondering what that says about her feelings towards her dad.
That maybe she doesn't want to ruin, tarnish, or kind of possibly ruin that relationship that they've been kind of working on for the last year or so. And she's more inclined to have, I mean, she's been mad at her father, and we saw that in season 3. And so she has no problem being mad at her father, but she has been working on her relationship with her father for so long since the last blow up, that maybe she wants to kind of prevent any other heartache from that. And with her mother, she's more inclined to be super blunt and transparent with her mother. So maybe she had no problem. I don't know.
I don't know. The way I interpret it, I interpret it as her not wanting it to fall apart and not wanting her dad to go away.
I think it's what I said during the episode. It, you know, her and Lorelai just have a completely different relationship. And so, you know, I buy that she's happy about it, but you know, she and Lorelai are always going to have more of a different kind of honesty because they are, you know, just so linked and they know each other so well. And, you know, even beforehand, like Lorelai knows like Rory's going to be upset. I know she's going to be upset. That's like why she's sad on the way home. Like she's sad when they get there and she's calling her, got to come over for snails. Like she knows that Rory's going to be upset. She just knows that. So I don't think that Rory is like, I don't think that she's protecting anything with Christopher, you know, in terms of her own relationship. I just think that they have very different relationships. And so, you know, like she said, I believe her. She's happy about it. She just, you know, she wishes she was there and it's kind of a big blow.
Yeah,
I know maybe what's next.
I think because she's had such separate life from Christopher, her and Christopher have lived most of their lives without each other. It's not really a betrayal from him for him to not have wanted Rory there or to make sure Rory was there. But for Lorelai, it's very much a betrayal that she didn't make sure her best friend was there.
Right, but then totally, I get that. The important part, though, that I'm trying to sort of wrap my brain around is why does she care? Why does she care to keep up this facade in front of Christopher?
I think it's just a natural reaction. I think it's just she and Lorelai have a different relationship, and that's the natural reaction. Whereas her and her dad have a different, like they just have a completely different way of relating to one another. And I think that's what's playing out here. I don't think she's thinking about it particularly. I think it's just the way that it's happening, just because of, you know, she has two separate relationships with them separately and together. Mandy, I know has been flashing for a while. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think part of the reason she didn't react in front of Christopher like she did in front of Lorelai is like, yes, they have a different relationship, but I think she might not have felt as comfortable letting her dad know exactly what she thinks because in that moment, because she didn't want it to sort of throw a wrench into Lorelai and Christopher's relationship. Like she didn't want it to be a fight between them if she gave her opinions. But going back a little bit to what you and Diana were talking about before the episode when you made her co-host, and like some people believe that Lorelai was manipulated into marrying Christopher or just wanted to be married. I actually have a different perspective on that. I don't think she necessarily wanted to be married. I think she wants to be in love with Christopher. I don't think she is, but I think she wants it because he checks all the boxes. He's Rory's father. He is funny. They've known each other forever. It's who her parents want her to be with as much as she claims to want to do things just to tick them off. I don't think that's always the case. And so I think that it's more or less the fact that she wants to be in love with him rather than she actually is in love with him or that she wanted to be married. It's just that she wants it to be him.
I have a hard time with that one. I have a hard time with the idea of this idea of like, I want to be in love with someone, especially at that, like that scale of like, and I will marry them. Especially someone like Lorelai, who has made the hard decision not to marry somebody when she didn't feel that it was there. I know that there is this general sense of not wanting to think that Lorelai could have feelings of love, whether they're a particular kind of love that's different than the type of love that she might have for somebody else, the love that she would have for Christopher. But I have a hard time imagining that she isn't in some kind of love with him. here. It doesn't compute to me, this idea that she's just going through the motions.
Well, if we, oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I believe she loves him very much. I don't think she's romantically in love with him. I think she may be confusing the two. I think she definitely has deep feelings for him, but I don't think it goes beyond, he's the father of my child and we're still very good friends.
That I think that's where we probably disagree, because that last moment there when they're walking down the sidewalk and he says that to her, her response seemed like a woman who was really quite like content in the love that she had for him, and not that it didn't feel like you're just the father of my daughter and we've had this long thing. It really felt like real true romantic love. That's how I interpreted it.
I think,
and I was gonna say, that's just the thing, is that I just don't see Lorelai as the type of person who would marry if she didn't feel that kind of romantic love. I think the bigger issue here is whether or not romantic love in a situation like this is always the best reason to marry somebody. If there are some clear problems that will never be solved, like is romantic love enough? That's where I sit with the whole thing, in regards to whether I think that they're right for each other. It's not because I feel like they're not really, or she's not really in love with him. Why is she with him? No, I'm thinking more like she is in love with him, but he's just not. They just don't work. And over the long haul, once some of those initial sort of feelings of love start to wear off and it becomes more about building a much stronger relationship that is more than that like initial honeymoon style puppy love that happens at the beginning of a relationship, that's the part that I think it isn't sustainable for Lorelai and Christopher.
So to your point, when you said that Lorelai could have married Max, but she didn't want to because she wasn't in love with him. And if we go back to the end of season 6, when she was in the car with the therapist, and she said that she's like, I never saw myself as the type of person to get married. And then she's like, until Luke. And she wanted to make it right. And going back to how she didn't want to get married to Luke until everything was square with Rory. And then she just ups, just because she's in Paris and with Chris and everything was happy and blissful, she decides, okay, I'm going to get married despite everything that I've said for the last 7 years. And I think that's where I kind of deem her as, and I said this before, herself being selfish, because like she was upset when she got home because she knows that Rory was going to be upset, but like you're damn straight she was going to be upset. So like, why did you do it in the first place? Like there is like that whole foggy glasses, or however you would speak it, blinded by love or something like that. And she was in Paris, the city of love, one of the most romantic cities on the planet. And so I honestly feel like she was so caught up in the fact that she was in Paris and she was finally like on vacation and she was with Chris and things were good and things with Sherry went well. I honestly feel like she just got so caught up in it that if they were like in the States or in a different situation, that she might have been thinking a lot more clear and have actually been like, hey, look, like even if she wanted so wholeheartedly wanted to marry Chris, she would have been like, look, I love you, you know that, I want to marry you, and you know that, but Rory has to be here. Like I don't care because she's my best friend and she has to be there. And so it's like, I don't know, I feel like Lorelai's been extremely selfish this season.
Really quick, I want to just add one more point onto it, because I will admit I need to sort of simmer a little bit on some of this. I want to think a little bit about how I feel in regards to Lorelai and Christopher and what kind of love is actually there. But I will say that this sort of idea that, like, it feels a little, to me, a little tropey, this idea of like of someone, and typically in you know, you see it as a trope that women in stories just want to be married, just to be married. It's a trope that I just don't totally believe. Like, I just, for whatever reason, it seems a little written.
It's limited.
Am I off base on that?
No,
Is that
you're not off base at all. It's limiting. It's actually taking the agency away from a character like Lorelai, who, you know, like, and the fandom kind of gets into this a lot. Like, this is, you know, this is an argument that's had a lot about whether or not she's selfish or, you know, just wants to get married, or, you know, all these things. And I fully disagree that she just wants to be married, because she had so many chances. If she just wanted to be married, that would have been easy. And, you know, she very much, we've seen her for 7 seasons hem and haw over every single romantic decision. Like, she's never made an impulsive romantic decision. If you really look at it, she never has. So, you know, I think in this regard, she's holding out for the real thing. And, you know, and the other question I was going to ask is, in the car, when she has the therapy session, does she say, I never thought I'd be the type of person to get married? Or did she say, I never thought I'd get married? Because the two things are very different. You know, she's been holding out for the person who's going to be right there with her. And, you know, we saw when she, you know, then confronts Luke and says, this is what I want. This is what I've been wanting with you. Let's do it. And he says, no. She's like, okay, then I'm out. Like, you know, that's a very strong decision. And, you know, and Chris comes along, a completely different person than the person that we've known, and presents her with that same decision. Like, you know, we could get married, we could do it right now. And she's kind of like, you know what? I've been ready. And you are the person who has proven to me that you're also ready and you're right there with me. Like, I think that they are on, like, so much on the same page, like, in almost every way. And I think, John, you're right. Like, there are things that don't work that, you know, that they're not dealing with yet. But, like, for the most part, they're 100% on the same page. Like, they're matching each other's level of commitment, I guess, is what I'm saying. They're matching each other's level of investment in one another. And that's what she's been missing this whole time.
Yeah. So I saw Hunter flashing first, then Sherry started flashing. I can tell, Sherry, you have something that you really want to say. Why don't we go Hunter, then Sherry, and then I'm gonna actually have to head out here in a sec.
I like, back to your question, John. There are absolutely women and men who just want to be married. I don't know if it's just a South thing because I'm in the South, but there are women who just want, that is their goal, to graduate high school, and then the next goal is to get married. And Coral even said he went to college and I've seen it too in college, where there are people, women, who are there to get their MRSDR. They want to be the Mrs. of a doctor, and they just are there to get a doctor.
BYU, Utah.
Yeah, they go there to get to go there to bag a doctor and get married and then quit college. Like, that is a trope, but it's one that's based on what happens, especially here in the South, where there's still, like, you know, people who arrange marriages here with their kids in the church. Like, it happens.
But we make
Utah's
fun of
like that too,
right?
For
We,
college
like there are like little acronym jokes about it. So is that how we feel? Is that what we're thinking? Do we think Lorelai is falling into that kind of a trope?
Now, my point was how also during that scene with Lorelai and the therapist, she says, I don't think I ever truly loved anyone until Luke, which means that she never really loved Chris in that romantic kind of way. I think the love that she has for Chris is very like an immature love, like some like puppy love when kids. So I think when it's given to her the option of somebody that is finally willing and saying, I want to marry you, she just gives in. I think she's just feeling a little defeated, and knowing that Chris loves her and has loved her for so many years was just the catalyst for her to actually get what she finally wanted, even though in my opinion she wanted it from Luke, not Chris.
Okay. This is something I still have to simmer on. I'm hearing all the points, and that makes some sense to me. Yeah, I guess that's true. That trope. I mean, all tropes come from somewhere. You know, I mean, even the apple for the teacher came from somewhere. So I have to imagine that is true. It's just whether or not I want to think that Lorelai is somebody who would care so much about that, and it just does feel like it strips away some of the agency of that character who has been so strong. She has had many opportunities to get married. However, to Sherry's point, she is in a very different place here after having been sort of, I mean, she is, as I mentioned before, kind of coming out of the all is lost moment of, you know, what I would argue is the all is lost moment of the whole series, the end of season 6. So she's in a different place. But I just think that it's easy to vilify Christopher if that's the take on it, because then it really shows, like, you know, it means that Christopher's own desires, you know, sort of like it means that there's really only love from one side, and that he manipulated her into marriage, kind of, you know, almost taking advantage of this desire that she might have to just finally find some happiness in the form of marriage, and this sort of deep dark place that she's in. And I'm not sure I'm there with that. I'm just not sure that I'm there with that. And it's part of why I'm not like fully against Christopher in this matter. I get that what he did was selfish, especially given the whole Rory thing, but I still sort of feel like this is something that Lorelai wanted. What that want means, I guess I still need to sort of think a little bit on it. My gut tells me that it's real love, but maybe not. Maybe not.
Before we all head out, this is completely unrelated, but I just wanted to ask for you guys' opinion. It's completely unrelated to everything, but I have a close friend who is fundraising for surgery, and I was wondering, would that be something anyone would feel comfortable with me sharing, or would that be something I just need to kind of keep to myself? In terms of like the Facebook group or the Discord group, would people find that a bit odd? And if so, I will keep it to myself. I don't mind. I just wanted to ask before I kind of shared it.
Either way.
Can you repeat that? Repeat that again. I'm sorry. I didn't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's okay. So a close friend of mine is fundraising for surgery, and I want to kind of share it as widely as I can. And I wanted to know if the group would be comfortable with me sharing it either in Discord or in a Facebook post.
That would be in the end.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make me feel uncomfortable with the idea that you would share it. Mandy, she's the head of her Facebook group, so that's mostly a question for Mandy.
Yeah, it is against the rules to do it on the group, but I can't control whether or not you share it in the group chat.
I'll respect the rules. That's okay. I wanted to just check because I know a lot of groups do have rules against that. So I just wanted to check. I will abide by the rules. Thank you, Mandy.
I don't know if anybody would have an issue with you sharing it on the group chat. So you might want to check about that, because I'm not over that. But the page, yes, the group.
Perfect. Thank you for letting me know. That's what I wanted to check. Thank you.
Also, I just wanted to chime in really quickly, also slightly unrelated, but not totally. I just wanted to make a mention that these rooms are being recorded, and at this point, they're being recorded mostly with the help of community members. And I just wanted to give a huge thank you to Sarah, who has been helping Mary with recording as well, and has been doing that every night, despite the fact that she's in Europe, and it is very, very difficult. So I hope I'm not embarrassing you, Sarah, by giving you a huge thank you. But
you, Sarah.
it is so incredibly appreciated.
Thank you, Sarah.
That's really cool of you, Sarah.
Oh well, I do it for Mary because she's been doing it on her own for all this time, and it's really hard. So I'm doing it mainly because of that, and of course because I want to listen to the recordings myself. But I'm never ever going to tell Samantha anything ever again.
I want, can I chime in for a second? I've been kind of sitting back and listening. This goes back into the. I agree with you, John. I do not believe that Lorelai is like being manipulated into getting married. But I also want to say from my own experience, when I got married because I wanted to know what it was like to be married. I loved my husband, but I was not in love with my husband. So I kind of like can see from what Lorelai's doing. She's recovering from a broken heart, Luke. And, and she thinks that it's Christopher that might fix it. And she does have love for Christopher. I mean, how wouldn't she? I mean, he's the father of her child. They have a history. She's been in love with Christopher before, but she's older. So there's going to be like, it's probably around the time in her life where she's going to go, I want to know what that's like. I want to know what it, I mean, she's even said, when is that going to happen for me? And I would really like to have somebody, pay a bill or meet the electric guy or the cable guy or whatever, So, I mean, she's been there. We've heard that. We've heard her say that.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, yeah, I 100% think that the reason why she loves Christopher, but I also think that she just wants to know what it's like to be married.
I agree, Shauna. That's a good point that you brought up about her mentioning that she wants to be taken care of, because she did mention that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me as I said, let me simmer on all of that, and I'll either have more perspective on it, or I'll just let the show sort of do what it does, and how things unfold. As of right now, I'm still having a hard time imagining, and maybe it's because of the Lorelai character. You're right, she does want that, but she's also a very strong person who has had that opportunity several times. Maybe she's just at her weakest in the series. I don't know, but what I do know is that I have to jump. And this was awesome. I will be back tomorrow at 7 for episode 10. We're getting close to the midpoint of the season, which I'm guessing is probably there's going to be some April and Luke climax to that whole storyline. My guess is that will
somewhat
Did you say Max?
conclude. Did I say Max?
Did I mishear that? Was I?
Did I say?
I
I thought
drunk?
I thought I said Luke and April. Did I say Luke and Max?
Did I? I think I'm
I
drunk.
No, you said Luke and April climax.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
so the climax. Yeah, no, the climax of that whole storyline will probably crescendo. Maybe a better word. It will crescendo. I'm guessing at around episode 11, so that they can then write the second half of the season, which will have its own, specific arc. That might include the April stuff in it as well a bit, but that my guess is that all of this with Luke and Anna and April will have some degree of resolution by episode 11. That's my prediction, but we'll see. Thank you everybody for another awesome Sunday afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, John.